Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Story. Once again, no trailer because not selling Angels Awakening anymore.
Sorry, guys, you missed your chance.
Yeah. But we need an intro for the show, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got lazy because we had that trailer to lean on.
Yeah, I know. But I will say this. So I have a couple of announcements to make with regards to Angels Awakening.
He's got an announcement to make.
Yes.
Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yes.
If you don't know what I'm talking, look up the real-time fan dub of Sonic Adventure 2. It's amazing.
Yeah. So okay, so one announcement I had. So I got the test prints for the poster of Jessica Sawyer. Here she is.
Ooh. Too hot for YouTube.
Yeah, I don't care. But so the poster looks great, and another big announcement I have is the proof copies of the book were shipped today. So I'm going to be getting them tomorrow.
It's awesome. It's amazing how often publishing is progress towards progress.
Yes. So once I get those and I look them over and they pass my eye test, then I'm going to go straight into printing the books right away. And then, of course, I will keep everybody up to date as to when the books will finally be printed, and then when they get sent off to the fulfillment, and then once they go into fulfillment. So, fun times. Sorry.
So, man, I hope you have a better experience when you get to hold your first book in your hand than I did.
Yeah.
Because the book was fine. I was just in such an awful mood because of something that just happened at work when it showed up on my doorstep that I couldn't really enjoy it at all.
No, damn.
But,
yeah. Well, speaking of your book, let's talk about that.
Yes, Confessions of the MAGPIE Wizard on Amazon. Books 1 and 2 are up. I'm currently working on a side story that I'll start posting free chapters of, and we'll have those available as a link soon enough. And book 3 will be out before the end of the year. That's as specific as I can get.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you haven't picked it up, I would recommend it. I've read some of this book, and it's a fun read. I really like it so far, and I'm really liking Rose. She's a fun character, and obviously easy on the eyes if you've seen the artwork.
Yep. And in fact, the spin-off book stars Rose. So
yeah, I'm really looking forward to that book. So what Darth Bobcat is, of course, saying is,
"Buy my book! Buy my book! Buy my book!"
Yes.
God, you know that show is funny, but you also see why it was canceled after 2 seasons.
Yes.
Hey, you managed to make a excellent representation of a critic. He's completely obnoxious and terrible. Go away. Mission accomplished. I hate you.
Yes. It stinks.
It stinks.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So onto the topic of the video today, which, of course, is about plot twists and what makes a good plot twist, what makes a bad plot twist, and why some work, some don't.
Yeah. Yep. Now this one can be a little bit more subjective than some other things, because I would say that the degree to which a plot twist is effective, it kind of depends on your investment in the story to an extent and how much you're actually thinking about it. Like, there are some plot twists for things where I was kind of bored and not really paying attention, where it was a plot twist and it just went over my head. Like, it was just part of the melange of bad stuff that I was watching.
Mhm.
Like, or sometimes the plot twist is so badly set up that you're like, wait, what? Like the show WandaVision, for example. I went into that with a bad attitude because I had heard bad things about it. It did not win me over. but I was like, okay, somebody told me to watch it so I could talk about it with them. I'm going to just keep on powering through this.
Okay.
And there's the side character, Agatha Harkness, who seems to just be the neighbor and caught up in the spells. But spoiler alerts for a show that's been out for more than 6 months. She's actually a witch who's trying to steal Wanda's powers.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. My friends were guessing, well, she's probably evil somehow, and I was like, I was actually had such a low opinion of the writers that I didn't think, they're not smart enough to actually do a plot twist of some sort. Like, there's too much circumstantial evidence that she's just part of it, which of course she was lying the whole time. Also, the song was Agatha all along. Agatha what all along? If you actually think about it, it's like, but she didn't do anything to the last minute. I mean, she killed the dog, but
yeah. Well, and she was played by the that woman from the car commercials. I can't remember was it like Lincoln? I think.
I couldn't tell you. I thankfully have cut the cord ages ago, so I hadn't realized just how until you just go for a while without watching normie TV at all, you realize just like how much pop culture is ads of some sort. And you're just on the outside.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Yeah, it's freeing, but at the same time, it's like okay, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah. So a plot twist for me that I thought was really stupid, and Bobcat and I talked about it with Bobcat last week, and it's for some reason this movie's still hanging with me. I guess because it was just so bad. The movie is called Sweet Girl, and probably right off the bat, it's bad movie because the title's bad. It's with Jason Momoa, and he plays a grieving father who his wife dies of cancer, and he's going to take revenge on the pharmaceutical company and the corrupt politicians who he blames for his wife's death. And in the movie, he has his daughter with him, and so like earlier in the movie, as he's starting out, he meets with a reporter, I think with BuzzFeed or Vice, one of the two, and they get attacked on the train, and his daughter followed him to the meeting, and they both get attacked. She gets thrown out of the train, and he gets stabbed and thrown out of the train. And so then we pick up after that, and that's when he starts going on this little crusade of his. Well, the plot twist: Jason Momoa died on the train. He got stabbed, and his daughter survived, and his daughter was the one who was going around, beating and killing guys who are more than twice her size, because she's like 5 feet tall and weighs about 90 pounds soaking wet. And it's just, it didn't work. It was ridiculous. And I hate that movie so damn much.
Yep. And as Marseille said, a bad plot twist is such a disappointing part of a story.
Yes.
And the problem is that, so you know how if you make a bad horror movie, congratulations, you've made an unintentional comedy?
Yeah.
So like you can still get some joy out of it. But like a bad comedy is just wretched.
Mm-hmm.
Plot twist is a kind of another one where you actually have to get it right in order for it to work at all. Because if you fail it, congratulations, you've wasted everybody's time.
Yeah. Yeah. Chinggis, his daughter was 18.
Oh God, Marseille. So Marseille says a classic example of a bad twist is the ending of Naruto, where the final villain just gets suddenly killed out of nowhere and replaced with an even bigger villain that not been set up or hinted. That is actually I hate that so much. Just not in Naruto specifically, because I get given up by that point. But it's Like there was this game called I think it's called Chroma Squad that was basically you were playing your own Power Rangers team.
Mm.
It's actually a lot of fun. I think it's still up on Steam, though they got sued by Bandai at one point, or Saban or whoever.
Mm.
Side note: you can you can make your power up cry whatever you want. And so, like, I had my main character. I think her name was like Sakura, and I named the team Sakura and the rest of them. and and the cutscene and the phrase you used to activate the Zords was "Let's get this over with," because the Zord battling was the most boring part of the game. It was otherwise kind of like a Final Fantasy style tactics thing. But the reason I bring that up is that it's like the whole game. There's this guy called Lord Gaga who is you just completely hate him. And it's like, okay, I'm finally going to get to fight Lord Gaga. And then he gets murked by the real villain.
God.
It's like, oh, what the hell? And also, before they patched it, you could actually get totally frozen in the last act.
Oh, jeez.
So, like months later, I was able to play it. But man, let me tell you, my desire to punch Lord Gaga in the face did not translate over to that new villain.
Yeah.
Instead, I wanted to write a strongly worded letter to the developers.
You idiots!
Yeah. Which apparently, I talked with a friend of mine who's more into tokusatsu stuff than me. Apparently, that's all over the place in things like Kamen Rider and Sentai.
Mm.
So it's like it could be seen as an homage to that, but still, it's like, no, an homage to bad storytelling is still bad storytelling.
Yeah. Yes. Doing more bad storytelling on top of bad storytelling. No, don't do that.
Which I think brings us, like, I think that kind of sums up the problem with a bad plot twist is you feel cheated. It's like you're going along with it, and then suddenly, bam! You're smacked upside the head. Mike, one of the most famous plot twists in cinema is, of course, The Sixth Sense, where you find out that Bruce Willis, Omae wa shindiru, Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Nani?
Yeah.
He was already dead, but it's like now, of course, it's hard. I can't judge it as a plot twist completely because, of course, pop culture. If you were alive in the 2000s, you knew that plot twist after about the first week of it being in theaters.
Yes. Yeah.
Where he was already a ghost and he was going about his ghost life, not realizing he was a ghost.
Yeah. Although although I haven't done it yet, but if you go back and you watch that movie, they're pretty clear indicators that he's dead. If you think about it, yeah. Sort of like in with The Prestige, with the famous Christopher Nolan magician movie. You got Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman as rival magicians. And Christian Bale's character has a trick called the transported man, where he walks through a door, and then on one end of the stage, and then on the other end of the stage, he walks out. And Hugh Jackman's trying to figure out how Bale does this trick. He's just like they tell him, oh, Michael Caine, who plays like his manager, or I can't, like, whatever. He says, oh, he's got a double, and he falls through the stage, and then his double comes up at the on the other side, and he's like, no, it can't be that. And so then Hugh Jackman goes to Colorado Springs and meets Nikola Tesla, played by the late great David Bowie, and he has the electrical machine where it creates duplicates of him. And so that's how and of course, when he does this trick, he doesn't know whether or not he's going to be the guy at the end of the trick, or if he's going to be the guy in the tank of water who drowns.
Yeah, I mean, there's such a thing as being too dedicated to your craft.
Yeah, and so, but then, of course, the big plot twist, though, in the movie wasn't necessarily that. It was with Christian Bale, where you find out that he has a twin brother, and they kind of, one lives one life and then one lives another life, and they kind of they take turns between each other to, when one lived one life and then one lived the other life, like the life of the magician and then the life of like the kind of like the handler. And so like one of the parts and one of the indicators of that is in was with his wife. So he would say to his wife, "I love you," and his wife would say, "No, you don't love me today." And then like another time he would say, "I love you," and she'd say, "Oh yeah, you do love me." It's because one of them loved her and the other one didn't. So that was the whole thing, and then that was the reveal at the end, because you really have to watch the movie to kind of get, there's more going on with it, but yeah, it's that little plot twist was pretty revealing. I remember when pretty cool when I first saw that movie in the theater back in 05, 06, somewhere around there.
Yep. By the way, I am reading the comments and trying to reply to them in the chat, but unfortunately, Daniel's computer is not behaving with us today, so we don't want him doing unnecessary clicks to bring you up. But we do appreciate the feedback.
Yes. Yes. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm every time I click on something or I do something, my screen will freeze for like a second or two, and I'm worried one of those times I do that, it'll freeze up and then it'll kick me out of the stream. So that happened to me before, and so yeah.
So we're just being careful.
Yeah.
But and it occurs to me that the twist ending is either synonymous with or a close cousin to a mystery plot ending.
Mm-hmm.
I think the difference is that the plot twist, mystery, like the who killed the landowner, who stole the Maltese Falcon, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You come in expecting some sort of payoff for that question, answer. It's only like very postmodern mystery stories that end with, I don't know, you decide. It's like, you're the author, you tell me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like the Simpsons, Who Shot Mr. Burns? And Dr. Hibbert. Oh, I can't solve this mystery. Can you?
Well, I am the chief of police. I guess I'll give him my best shot. Turns around, he's pointing at Chief Wiggum.
Yeah. Yes. Did you have the same backwards talking dream with the flaming cards?
So that's a funny thing there. So apparently on Twin Peaks, the studio executives required that he reveal who the killer was at some point in the season, and they got to a point. It's like, okay, you got to tell him now. It's like, fine, I'll tell him, but you didn't say it had to be comprehensible.
Yeah.
Hence the backwards talking dwarf.
Yes. David Lynch.
Yeah. But what was the other thing? So the plot twist can happen in any story in any genre. Bruce Willis is already dead. The guy is actually a twin, and the really good plot twists will make you go, "Wait, what?" And then you'll go, "Oh, it all makes sense now."
Mm-hmm.
And then you feel like you've been led in on something really cool and interesting, and it can take you it can totally just change your perspective on a story.
Yeah.
So my example of one of the better plot twists I've seen in ages, and I don't know that anybody would watch this. It's called Lost Song. It's an anime on Netflix from 2018 that my group and I stumbled across, but I don't think I've ever heard anybody ever refer to it. But the basic premise is that it's about there are these two groups, and they each has a person with the ability to make magic happen by singing, like healing people or other and the villain is trying to twist one of their songs to bring about the end of the world, or I can't remember the exact details of it. It's been a few years. And so there's like a point around episode 6, and the way I would describe it up to a certain point is it's like, oh, it's kind of like a Miyazaki movie mixed with a Tales of game. Because it's just kind of lighthearted, and there's like little bits of violence here and there, and there's like a romance story with one of the two groups, because like there are these two parallel stories where you have this group of adventurers on the one hand, then you have this knight with a princess with a singing power on the other that he's protecting, and them falling in love. And then you hit a certain point, and the princess who has this singing power watches the knight die in front of her, and she proceeds to sing a song that ends the world. And suddenly, she ends up in like a time loop. She can't die for whatever reason. I forget the detail. And you realize that the reason that the two stories never intersected was that they were on different loops. So like the knight and the princess were in the original prime loop storyline, and the group of adventurers going to solve the problem were part of, like, we're in the latest loop, trying to stop her from ending the world again.
Oh, jeez.
Because as I recall, and again, I might be getting some minor details wrong, but I believe she keeps trying to end things because she just wants to be with him again. So, and it just keeps not working out somehow. Again, I could be a little bit wrong on that, but like that moment was like, we actually paused and wait, what? How did what? But what about the? And it took us. I'll say I was the one who figured it out. Like, they were never in the same show together.
Yeah.
The knight was briefly in the adventurers loop, but he disappeared after that, so that you wouldn't see the contradictions in him being in both stories. Yeah, well played, show.
Yes. Yeah, that is it. Yeah, that's a plot twist that is done right and is like
that's what you want. And
Yeah.
and I haven't watched it again since, but I bet if I did watch it, I'd see more hints and signs that was the case.
Yeah, it's sort of like 12 Monkeys. Do you ever see that one?
Can't say I have.
Yeah, your typical bizarre Terry Gilliam movie. Bruce Willis again. He so the world came to an okay, well, the world came to an end because of a bioterror attack, and
that's totally unbelievable.
Yes, completely unbelievable. And so what they do is, humanity lives underground, and they send Bruce Willis, I think, is a convict, and they send him back in time to try to figure out what caused who or what caused the attack, because they don't know what happened. And so the plot twist in the end is that he's trying to prevent the attack, and then Brad Pitt's character, let me just say, Brad Pitt's character is a red herring. And the real bad guy is somebody else, and Bruce Willis doesn't figure that out until it's too late, and he ends up dying. He ends up getting killed before he can save the world. Well, you see these like flashbacks of when he was a kid before the world came to an end, and he sees this guy dying on he got shot and he's lying bleeding to death on the floor of a train station. Well, that was him. That was him when he was a kid, and he's seeing himself as an adult dying. So it was kind of like Looper, where it was kind of like everything coming full circle.
Yeah, and which, man, Bruce Willis seems to end up in a lot of movies about plot twists and killing yourself and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I wonder if he picks movies that way. I don't know how he picks movies. He just,
Uh,
he's a weird, he's a weird guy. Yeah.
yeah, probably like, well, do I need money? No, then F off.
Yeah. Well, now I need the money, but I don't want to work very hard for it. Can you pay me like $2 million and and I can only be in the movie for like 30 minutes? Yeah, okay. Do like a day or two of work? Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, it's stories like that that kind of when you see it, you're kind of like, oh, okay, like you said before, you start putting the pieces together.
yeah, it also is one of the best ways to make your movie or book or comic or what have you worthy of a second go around, because you've it's like a scavenger hunt. You're looking for the hints of, okay, what's going on now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so Bruce Willis is already dead. Where are the signs that he's already dead?
Mm-hmm.
Um, these are two different timelines. Is there anything that contradicts that? So now, of course, what can really let it down is if there's like a minor plot point that makes you go, "Oh, you screwed it up.
Yeah.
That wasn't as cool as I thought it was." Like, in The Sixth Sense, everybody, like Bruce Willis, doesn't talk to anybody besides the kid the entire movie, because like in that world, ghosts can basically keep living their lives without noticing that little inconsistency.
Yeah.
But if you were watching the movie again and there was a scene where he had he exchanged 3 lines with a waitress when he was ordering coffee, I was like, oops.
Unless you make a little note in there somewhere, little line in there somewhere that she can see dead people too.
Right.
But yeah, otherwise, yeah, you don't want to do that. But yeah, Marseille, the Red Wedding. Yeah, that's. I don't watch I've never watched Game of Thrones, but I know when the Red Wedding aired, like everybody was just like, "What the hell?"
Yep. Right. So it's like, oh, this is going to be a normal fantasy adventure. Wait, what just happened to all the heroes and characters we've been building up? What?
Yeah. What? I do know there's a part where a pregnant woman gets stabbed in the belly. Yeah, it's kind of one of the reasons, kind of a reason why I don't want to watch that show, because the certain subject matter is kind of, for me, is kind of like that's a little too far. But yeah, it's. Yeah.
Meanwhile, somebody who didn't watch Game of Thrones, when I heard about this last season, I was basically that meme of Homer smoking a cigar. Boy, everyone is stupid except me.
Yeah. You could say that about the last season of the new Voltron series, the one on Netflix. God,
man, boy, let me tell you, I watched the first episode with my friends on anime night, and we were like, yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah. The first, I would say like the first 4 seasons were good, and then the back half started really falling apart.
Well, that was the series where the one guy stole stuff when he went on the tour of the animation studio and said he wouldn't give it back unless they made his gay ship canonical, right?
Yes.
If all I can say there is maybe the fandom deserved a bad last season.
Yeah, that's probably probably true. That's true. Yeah, Chingus, it dropped the ball hard. Yeah.
So the other observation about a plot twist that to credit my source, it was from this old series called Sonic Dissected, because I just go into these occasional binges of watching analysis videos about how Sega just screwed up so badly with that series. It's like, you should have been the next Mario, you dimwits.
You were the chosen one.
You were there to make video games good, not to glitch out every time you have a chance, including they managed to I'm so glad I didn't pre-order that game. I'd always wanted to play Sonic Colors, but the new remaster is more botched than anything else.
Oh god!
Like apparently the Switch version is the worst because, of course, because irony, because it was a Wii game originally. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Now now, Marseille, at this point, Sonic making a competent game is the plot twist.
Yeah. Yes.
Incidentally, I do yourself a favor if you just have some time to kill, and on YouTube put in Sonic real-time dub. You can't go wrong with any of the videos that will come up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Marseille says, "Damn, you ain't even wrong."
Yeah.
But so anyways, Sonic Dissected, made by this guy. I think his name was like Van to something. Something. He was Dutch. Really weird name.
Mhm.
But he was talking about how, in a properly twisted story, the twist actually has to affect the plot.
Mhm.
And he gave the example of because of course he was talking about Sonic games and their often incompetent story writing. He was talking about how in Sonic Unleashed, you find out about halfway through the game that your little buddy Chip, who has been with you the whole time, is actually a half of the evil god that you've been trying to prevent the resurrection of the whole game. And his point there was, well, did the plot actually change? Well, no. If you found that out in the first level, hi, my name is Chip. I'm half of the evil god of doom that Eggman is trying to use to power his Eggman land. You would have done the exact same things. You would have still been looking for Chaos Emeralds like you always were.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, counterexample, because Star Wars is the greatest example of storytelling ever.
Mhm.
I'm not even saying it's the greatest story ever, but like it's got so many good fundamentals right. Imagine Episode 4, A New Hope, where Luke knew that Darth Vader was his father. Like at some point when he was 5, Uncle Owen took him aside. Hey, son, or hey, nephew, I got something to tell you.
Yeah. Your father is the most evil man in the galaxy.
Yep. So but the Sonic real-time dubs are great, Chingus.
Yeah.
I've been watching them on near repeat for about a week now. Maybe 2. But anyway, so and you could actually see Luke going a few different directions with it. Maybe he is way more he never even wants to join the Empire, because remember he was almost going to join the Empire to just have a chance to fly, but he might have decided to go a totally different path. Maybe he would have already run off and joined the rebels by himself. Or, since we know that he was super interested in anything about his father when Obi-Wan met him, maybe he would have sought out Vader and ended up falling to the dark side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't been truthful
Right.
with you.
Oh yeah, another thing that would have now this isn't necessarily, and I should mention if you mention the information early on, it is no longer a plot twist, so it isn't as interesting, but it's more like development of you can just look at, see, what's the significance of this plot twist? How would the characters knowing this information from the start of the story have significantly changed the outcome? Yeah, imagine if Luke, this is your father's lightsaber. I fought with him in the Clone Wars. He made that droid over there.
Yeah.
R2 was his best friend.
Yeah.
Also, your dad is dag nasty evil.
Yeah.
And he accidentally choked your mom out when she was pregnant.
Yes.
No wonder I couldn't learn long division in school.
Yeah. Well, and don't forget the younglings.
Right, your dad killed a lot of babies.
Yeah.
Also, let me tell you about Ahsoka. Actually, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
She was the most important person in your father's life, but we can go through movies without mentioning her.
Yes.
But back on topic, like that would have totally changed. Imagine the alternate take. Luke, I am your father. Yeah, duh. Skywalker, hello.
Yeah.
Wait, you know my real name? Yeah, Obi-Wan told me right off the bat. Oh, that's oddly forthright for him.
Yeah, it wouldn't have had the same effect.
No. But it does mean it's a great plot twist because suddenly it just overturns everything you know about the story.
Mm-hmm. And I'll use another kind of use like a Star Wars example too, but with the sequel trilogy, kind of in the same vein, but with Kylo Ren, like, what would have happened with that story if we didn't know that Kylo Ren was actually Ben Solo the whole time?
Right. Like, what if there had just been no hints of it until maybe the end of The Force Awakens?
Yeah, like the last scene with him and Han Solo on the catwalk, right as he stabs him.
Right. That would have actually been more interesting. It's Luke who is Vader with the plot twist. Vader, I'm your son. Here's the bill for 18 years of child support. No. Also, and Luke, that girl you were perving on in the droid video earlier, actually your sister. I'll leave you alone for a moment so you can process that.
Yeah. Jeez.
But yeah, or the other thing, like that would have been a much more effective twist. The alternative, what if information was known earlier on? What if, from the moment that Rey showed up, I'm secretly, Rey knows that she's a Palpatine. She would have behaved very differently. Maybe. Well, actually, no. Rey's kind of a plank of wood, but in theory, a well-written character would behave differently.
Yeah. Well, that would have also required some foresight because they didn't even know she was going to be a Palpatine until the last movie.
Yeah.
You morons!
You have to have at least a bare minimum amount of foreshadowing. Now, here's the thing: in a long-form story, you're allowed to have some plot threads that don't actually go anywhere, as long as the plot threads that do go somewhere are good, and as long as the scenes that have plot threads that don't go anywhere actually work out. Like, just a major example. There are a lot of, if you read through Chris Claremont's run of X-Men from the late 70s to early 90s, there's actually a lot of plot points that he just kind of forgets and drops. But that's okay because he remembers to bring back the big ones. Apparently, there were a few times where he would talk with his editors and go, I don't know where to go next. Like, well, what about, and I think it was like Ann Nesenti or something like that would go, well, I mean, you've got this, that, and the other. Oh, yeah, thanks. Which, to be fair, if I spent 16 years writing a story that can often have, 15 team members at any given time, plus a bunch of side comics, I'd probably forget a couple of things too.
Yeah. It's that would be very easy to do. But I think, and it's the same with TV shows. Do the same thing where you have like you'll have like a dangling plot thread somewhere, and then it never gets resolved. Star Trek did that all the time. Stargate did that too. They'd set something up and then they would never do anything with it.
Yep. Which is the stuff that expanded universe is made of.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of something that was really interesting in Babylon 5, which isn't necessarily plot or plot twist related, but it's something that more TV writers should do. So you know how one of the biggest risks you run if you're doing a long form TV show is, what if an actor dies? What if an actor quits? What if that they do some negotiations and well, you can take this money or leave, and they leave.
Mm-hmm.
He apparently, for every single character, had an escape hatch and how to replace them afterwards in the initial 4-season run. For example, the original captain, whose name was, I can't remember if it was Sheridan who replaced Shepard or Shepard to replace Sheridan. We'll say old captain and new captain.
Mm-hmm.
So old captain was actually not as good as the guy who replaced him, in my opinion, but he was basically going to be the chosen one. And then over the course of the season, it came out, or he went to J. Michael Straczynski, the writer, director, and everything, and went, look, I have some issues with psychosis, and it's like extreme mental illness, and he just couldn't keep up with it anymore, and he was worried he might actually hurt people, as I recall.
Ooh.
So they had to write him out, and he appeared briefly in the last season. But yeah, so I think more TV shows that have a plan to do a long-term run need to have contingencies like that.
Yeah, I would agree, because otherwise you end up in a situation where, like, a character, you have a character death, and the character's death is usually not handled very well, or they leave and they're just like never come back, and like, what? Okay, like an example we've used many times before, but Denise Crosby, Tasha Yar on The Next Generation.
Yep. It's part of the genius of Doctor Who's regeneration, because an actor can totally just flake out, and they just have to get a body double from behind, and
yeah,
we're just like, okay, fine. Can you show up and deliver 3 lines even if you hate us?
Yeah, sort of like Christopher Eccleston. I think that was what he kind of flaked out on him after that one season, and then then they brought in David Tennant.
Yep, who in my opinion is Mr. What's My Charm Again? But I know that's an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, I like Tennant. I thought he was good. Matt Smith, I had a hard time getting into Matt Smith.
See, like I had a hard time getting into it, but that's because so we were talking about how storytelling is about building up to payoffs. The worst thing you can do to get somebody into a series is to just show them random episodes. But like I was like, okay, who are these people? Why is he giving Shakespeare his lines? Man, this guy is really obnoxious.
Yeah.
and thus my hatedom of David Tennant as the Doctor was born.
Or helping Agatha Christie solve a murder mystery.
Oh, did he do that?
Yes. Yeah, there was an episode where he helped, where he and I can't remember what her name was, Donna, the kind of red-haired woman. Like they helped Agatha Christie out with a murder mystery, kind of like not like Murder on the Orient Express, but it's more like one of those house murder scenario.
Oh, like the it's a locked room where it's like, we're not. It's like somebody at this house killed the landowner.
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
Nobody's allowed to leave until we figure it out.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. Only with Doctor Who, it was God, I want to say it was like alien wasps, I think was were the culprit or something like that. I can't remember.
Of course, alien wasps. The signs were there.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I will say, like, when you mention like murder mysteries, that usually it's usually where good plot twists come from. When you have a good whodunit, usually you think the audience or the reader or whoever thinks they know who did it, and then the writer will throw in a monkey wrench and say, no, it's actually this person. Like, what?
Yeah, right. You got to have your red herring there, who's the obvious the obvious villain who, when it turns out, nope, they just happened. Maybe they had something else suspicious going on. Maybe they had something totally innocent that just looked like it was innocent, or excuse me, so that totally was innocent but looked shady.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd almost say you could, like, two general flavors of plot twists are twists to questions you had and twists to questions you didn't know you should have. Like Darth Vader being Luke's father is the second category, because it's like, well, we know who Luke's father is. He was Anakin Skywalker. He was a great pilot and lightsaber man, and lightsaber man, Jedi. That's what I meant. He was a great Jedi and pilot, and he fought with Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars. What else is there to know?
Yeah.
On the flip side, a murder mystery is you definitely want to know who done it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're spending the whole time trying to figure it out.
Yeah. And if you ever watch, or if you ever read, or if you ever watch the Murder on the Orient Express, that one will probably throw you for a loop. Like, spoiler, it was every single one of them. Every single one of them killed the guy. They all stabbed him.
Yep, and we'll get to Marcel. We'll get to your question in a sec, because that's a good one for when we start wrapping up.
We'll take like the last 10 minutes to do a little Q&A. So
yep.
I think we'll start doing that from now on. Take like the last 10, 15 minutes to do Q&A. So
depending on how many questions we accumulate.
Right. Yeah.
And the other thing the main other observation is that how you handle a plot twist is a little bit constrained by your medium. For example, in Magpie Wizard, I'm writing first-person narration where it's explicitly Soren's journal, or at least him summarizing his journals. The issue I see is that, or I should say, not that I don't have any twists. It's more that he, because of who he is and how he's telling the story, may give away some of them. Like, just for example, there's a character named Hero who I've described Magpie Wizard as a perfectly functional school harem anime that got interrupted by the Flashman from the Flashman papers. Well, that was my original idea. And you would actually have the question, does Hero ever get control of his out-of-control powers? Well, Soren, the first time you meet him, reveals that the future president of the League and the writer of 3 manuals on magical fighting, 2 of which are still in use, and the sexiest man alive, and 20, I think it was like 2056, 58, and 79 or something like that. So you basically know, Hero's going to figure it out at some point.
Yeah.
It's just a question of how.
Yeah.
Where if Soren was more mum about it, maybe I have a plot point where Hero just dies because he never figures it out, and you wouldn't see that coming because it's not the type of story it is. But you basically know that he's safe. You also know that anytime it looks like he's dead, he isn't.
Yeah.
Just the nature of the story.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of the risk. That's the risk you run with the type of memoir-ish story I'm doing, is that unless Soren is trying to keep something from you as an audience member, you are probably going to be privy to it, and it's going to be like the biggest mystery is how is he going to respond to things.
Yeah. And in my case, with at least with Angel's Awakening, I wouldn't say they're like, I wouldn't necessarily call it a plot twist, but I guess there is kind of a twist in there, because Jessica discovers something that she didn't know about because she wasn't privy to the information. So I guess you could kind of call it a plot twist, but you'll just have to wait and read the book.
Yep. Yeah, it's all a matter of and how much of a twist it is really just about what does the character know and to what extent does the character care. Would Han Solo necessarily that much that Luke was Vader's father, or Vader was Luke's father. Well, I mean, he might find it interesting, but it wouldn't be like he might look at Luke funny, but it wouldn't like change his whole worldview. So if Han Solo was the main character of the story, he's like, "Oh, you're Vader's kid."
Yeah. All right. Whatever.
Narrows eyes.
Yeah.
And that would be about the extent of his response.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good example of like a non-response. Like it's a twist, but if you're telling it from the particular point of view, to quote Obi-Wan, they wouldn't give a crap.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So so I guess we could start Q&A if that's all right.
Works for me.
Yeah. So Marseille's question is okay, I'm going to try clicking on it and see what happens. Okay, we're good. So should a story be planned around a plot twist? What advice would you give a discovery writer for doing twists? Do you think a story needs a twist? It depends.
Which is the best, which is the most frequent, but also least helpful advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
There isn't a fixed rule.
Yeah. It depends on what you're writing. It depends on the story that you're doing. I would say, if depending on how important the plot twist is to the story, I would try to build around it as much as you can.
Right. And one bit of advice I'd give is that if it's a detail that isn't core to the narrative, you'd be surprised how much people can overlook books worth of hints about things. So just as a example, that's a bit of a Magpie Wizard spoiler. One of the characters has a really grievous injury to one of her arms. This has caused her to have nerve problems, and she's incredibly embarrassed about it and always covers it up. Like it's just a bunch of really bad scarring from about her wrist to her elbow. Throughout the 3 books, like this is revealed in what's now going to be book 4, what actually is wrong with her. Throughout the 3 books, I was constantly having her drop things, talk about how she was an artist before but didn't draw anymore, be the slowest person at knitting, even though she was the member of the club who taught them all to knit. If Soren, or if she put her hand on Soren's shoulder, or he touched her hand, he would notice that it was lightly trembling, and he would just describe it to, "Oh, she's nervous. Oh, it's cold out." When in fact, it's like a constant low grade muscle twitch. I thought I was being too obvious, bringing it up every other time she showed up in some indirect way. I had him notice, man, why is she still wearing her long sleeve uniform? It's friggin' August. Does she not feel hot? And so it was, but I never had anybody ever notice. I did have some people go, "Oh," afterwards. Now, as a discovery writer, which for those who may not be aware, discovery writing is where you don't necessarily have as firm of an outline and you just kind of go for it and make it up as you go along. I would say that I would be wary of making the sole enjoyment of your story based on the plot twist, just because, and you definitely want to make sure that you have an end goal in mind. Because with discovery writing in particular, and I've learned this the hard way, it can be very easy to take longer than you think to write something, or take way less time than you think to write something, in terms of page count, which can cause real troubles. Because let's say that it's a plot twist that's meant for the end of your book, and you discover that, oh, I hit this point about halfway through. Now what?
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say that sort of writing way of writing can be very beneficial. because I tried writing that way, and for me, it's the issue that I have is I will forget something. Like there would be a detail that I I overlooked or something, and I would have to go back and fix it. And so it's, but yeah.
Or you'll as you're writing discovery style, you'll come across something that you really, really, really want to do, but you realize, like in chapter 3, you said, "Oh, I've never been to England," and it's like, "Oh man, I want to have this character's I had this idea about this character bumming around London and meeting this other character, and oh damn it, I said in chapter 3 of book 1 that he'd never been to England before."
Yeah.
So then you have two options. If you haven't published it, it's editing time. If you have published it, you now have to try to explain why the character lied.
Although if it's Soren, it's probably pretty easy to explain.
I mean, he is a unreliable narrator who is half devil, and Marseille can attest to this. A lot of his writing is him clearly stating one thing when you know from context that the opposite is the case. It's like, I didn't actually care about her. I was just trying to check her out. Yeah, that's it. No. I wasn't crying. There was dust in the air. This place is filthy. That's awful.
Yeah.
They should beat the maid.
Yes. Yeah.
And I would say this biggest thing about discovery writing in general, from my experience, is be ready to do heavy edits, just because it's part of the game. You're going out there to.
Cengus. Jeez. I'm not going to put that on.
Wow, Cengus, that was a years long con. Nicely done.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
So I'd say just don't get too upset if you have to go back and edit things. It's just part of the discovery writing game, as I've discovered.
Yeah. I kind of have a similar thing going on with the comic book I'm writing right now. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know what I'm talking about. It's I've been posting different artwork of the characters. But there are certain, like I'm gonna have to go in and trim some stuff out because it's getting a little long. Like having a scene where one of the girls not only finds out that her boyfriend's cheating on her, but then goes to confront him by throwing a fruity cocktail at him. I don't know if it's necessary for the plot. It's fun. It's fun to probably read, but I don't know if it really needs to be in there.
Right, and the difference between prose and comic writing is that prose writing, I can go, oh well, it's another 3 pages. For you, it's like, let's see here, 3 pages, and the page rate for art is X.
Yeah.
Is it like it's you almost have to go, will this page help me sell X copies of books to make up for it?
Probably not.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's a grim arithmetic.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and considering and I guess I can say this right now, but the next book, which is a follow-up to Angel's Awakening, 62 pages.
Yep. So make sure you buy 2 copies.
Yes. Yeah. So does anyone else have any questions for us?
Yep, that was a really good one.
Yeah, that was. But I definitely want to buy. I will definitely be one of the first people to buy a copy of the Rose book.
Yeah. You'll get your opportunity probably sometime next year. Basically, the way that my business model works is I post it up on the free places like Reddit Serials and Royal Road and Scribble Hub for a while, and then once I'm in the next book, I yank it off and put it on Amazon. But that's like a months-long dance.
Yeah.
And because we've had a real lack of, we've seen the posters, but we'll just do a silent spoiler for which character has the horrible injury in the most fun way possible.
Yes. Everyone's favorite waifu, MAGPIE waifu.
Yep.
Well, one of them anyway.
It's funny. I was talking with Yogurt, and she was like, "Well, on the one hand, I really do enjoy drawing her, but you might have enough." And I said, "Okay, that's a sign I don't need more pictures of this particular character." When the artist who I'm paying money to is saying, "Yeah, you should balance things out," which I have been, but
yeah, I totally understand why you would be getting commissioned artwork of her. I think we're all very understanding.
Yeah.
So Marseille's got another question, and this one I do want to. What do you think? Answer. What do you think of the "it was a dream" trope if done well? Personally, I hate this trope. I hate it. I can't stand it. It is such a freaking cop out. I don't like it at all.
Right. It's an excuse to have something radical happen in your story and then take it away.
Yes, it's the worst kind of Deus ex machina you can think of. Just I'm. Although okay. Let me see if I can think of a time where it's done, it has been done well.
Probably the best way you could do it would be if the character was getting a vision of a dark future of some sort.
Yeah.
Like, so it isn't exactly a dream, but it's more like a premonition.
Yeah. But other than that, no, I hate it. I hate it. I will promise you one thing: I will never use that trope in anything I ever write, ever.
Yeah, right. And it's the problem is time and money and everything else versus like, what did you just toss out? So like in the current X-Men comics, which is like the House of 10 Powers of X or whatever they call it, they basically have Moira McTaggart do a time loop thing. There's a lot of time loop talk today, where she's created a universe, or she goes back and keeps trying to alter things so that humans don't create androids to kill mutants that inevitably kill everybody. And her solution this time was to to basically convince Professor X early on that his dream was stupid and to kind of go the Magneto route. So all of the heroes and villains are basically milling around on the mutant island of Krakoa, which is like a ethno-state that they say is the capital of the solar system. Or it's like, mutants are the rightful inheritors of the Earth, or whatever it is. So it's basically turn Marvel's premier superhero team into villains. And early on, there was an assumption among a lot of readers that, oh, I see what's going on. These people aren't the X-Men. They're they're just the real X-Men are trapped in a cave somewhere. We're going to come across them. They'll come back and kill these imposters. The trouble is that if that was the case at this point, imagine if you'd been buying every single X-Men comic at $4 or sometimes even $5 or $6 a pop for coming up on 2 years now. Can you imagine how pissed you would be if you found out that all these characters you were following were actually clones?
I would be very angry about that. Yeah. Kind of like there was actually an episode of Deep Space Nine where they did that with Chief O'Brien.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It turned out he was like the whole episode everybody's treating him really weird, and he's like, even his wife's treating him weird, and he's like, what's going on, and he's going around trying to figure it out, and then you get to the end of the episode and he was a clone, and the real O'Brien was there, and it comes in at the end. It was just like ridiculous. Chinggis here says, I haven't watched that, so
I have. I don't. Maybe it's been a couple of years, but I wouldn't necessarily classify that it was a dream. It was almost more like another time loop scenario. Just the character was in a virtual world of some sort. Though Changus can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And yeah, Marseille. Yeah, I mean, like let's do a little bit of math here real quick. So, so we'll just assume that they've been running. They're running like 5 series at any given time, like X-Men, X-Force, X-Factor, Wolverine, and so on. I think we're on the 2-year anniversary of the original House of 10 Powers of X or whatever. It's like House of X, Powers of X, but apparently you're supposed to pronounce one as X and one as 10 because they're pretentious like that. I always mix up which is which. Yeah. So let's just be generous, and we'll say that they didn't raise their costs to $5 post Coof. So we'll just say we have 5 comics that you follow for 24 months at a rate of $4 per month per comic. So that's $480 that you would have spent, assuming you bought no limited series, special issues, anything like that. You know what else you can get for $480 plus a little bit extra? A PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. Or you could go get yourself an Xbox Series S with a cheaper one that's more readily available and a couple years worth of Game Pass.
Yeah.
Or you could go down to half price books and just go down to the DVD section and go to town.
Yeah.
Or you could say, this is my favorite long form manga. I'm just going to buy it all at once.
Yeah. Just buy every issue of One Piece.
480 wouldn't even cover that. That'll get you about halfway of what's currently available in the West, though.
Yeah.
And that's even ignoring sales tax. But it's the trouble is that they've kind of boxed themselves into a corner where a lot of people are like, these aren't the X-Men. I'm kind of done.
Yeah.
And their sales are showing it, but at the same time, they can't quite let the ride go because they don't have an alternate plan. And for the people who are invested in it now, they would be pissed if you suddenly said, "Oh, sorry, all those X-Men who are like really racist towards humans all the time, like they were just Magneto in different skins, they were clones. They're definitely clones."
Yeah.
So that'd be like the close. That would be such that would be so rage-inducing. Either way.
Yeah.
It's the problem of going down a bad direction with a franchise is that you end up in these no-win scenarios where the classic fans hate something, the new fans came in for the new something, and there's no way to please them. So either way, you're going to turn off some of your fan base.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Kobayashi Maru. Yeah, no win.
Unless you hack the system like Kirk did, but that's...
Yeah.
There really isn't an equivalent to that in this case.
No, there really isn't. All right. Well, if no one else has any other questions for us, I think we could probably wrap this up. Bobcat, any final words?
I don't actually have anything to say, which is chatty as I am. That itself is a twist.
Yes, that is a very nice twist. That is a very interesting twist there. All right. So with all of that said, my name is Daniel Parker. This is, of course, DB Fastbinder, a.k.a. Darth Bobcat. Thank you all for tuning in and watching us, and and also for the great questions. Appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah. And remember to smash that like button, hit the bell if you want to hit the bell, subscribe. Donate to the Patreon for the podcast that doesn't exist. Although I have a Patreon, but
but
that's separate from the show. And buy 50 copies of MAGPIE Wizard so I can get more art.
Yes, exactly. All right. Again, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Good night.
Night, everyone.